I diligently pursued Ethan Vance for 3 years, yet he still fell in love with someone else. On the day of his engagement, he asked me to pay for the party. As I paid the bill, I cried, mission failed. Am I going to die? A notification chimed, congratulations host for successfully completing the beginner's mission. The system will now unlock the advanced challenge for you. Me system, perhaps I wasn't clear before, but I'm a spendthrift system, me alright. One on the day Ethan got engaged, I sat at the head table weeping uncontrollably. The coming and going guests all cast sympathetic glances my way. Jenna Miller chased Ethan for 3 years, spending money like water for him, yet still failed to win his heart. Among all the love-struck fools across America, Jenna stands out as the most devoted. Did you know she even paid for Ethan's engagement party today? Look at how she's crying. It's truly heartbreaking. If she were chasing me, I'd elope with her on the spot. I was drowning in my own sorrow, unwilling to pay attention to these clueless bystanders. I pursued Ethan for 3 years, and everyone thought I was an incurable romantic. But they didn't know I was doing this purely because I'd been bound to an absurd system. 3 years ago, I was hit by a pie falling from the sky and immediately sent to the hospital. When I woke up, a cold mechanical voice rang out, rattling off a long speech before disappearing. My head was still spinning, and I only caught a few keywords: spend money for a man mission or you'll die. After being discharged from the hospital, I inexplicably found $5 million in my bank account. Being someone who fears death above all else, I immediately targeted the first man I saw after waking up. I chased after him, spending money on him diligently to complete my mission. For 3 years, Ethan partied every night, constantly embroiled in scandals, while flaunting his parade of lovers. I never complained nor abandoned him, only proactively paid to resolve his various troubles. But in the end, he still proposed to someone else. As I was crying, Ethan came over with his fiancée to toast me. Jenna, let me introduce you. This is my fiancée, Lauren. Lauren also raised her glass. I've heard so much about you from Ethan. He said a certain sister took especially good care of him. I want to thank you on his behalf. Looking at their blissful expressions, I thought about how my days were numbered and how I'd never even been in love before a wave of sorrow washed over me. I cried like a broken faucet, and Ethan didn't even try to stop me. He looked at me with great interest, then slowly said, Jenna, after you finish crying, please go to the front desk to settle the bill. A sudden thought popped into my mind. If I don't pay $1, be able to get engaged. Hearing this, Ethan curled his lips into a faint, disdainful smile. Jenna, do you really think that would work? Yes, 3 years of devotion to him had amounted to nothing. Even if he didn't end up with Lauren, he still wouldn't choose me. I sighed deeply. When death says you'll die at 3, he wouldn't keep you till 5. So with 2 trails of tears streaming down my face, I marched forward with the heroic resolve of a martyr and swiped my card at the front desk. The party expenses totaled $500,000, draining the last cent from my account. Staring at the zero balance notification, I muttered to myself, mission failed. Am I going to die now? At that moment, a prompt sounded, congratulations host for successfully completing the novice mission of spending $5 million. The system will now unlock an advanced challenge for you. 2. I thought I was hallucinating. After all, this crappy system had only appeared once 3 years ago and never showed up again. I saw confirmation. Even though I failed the mission, it still counts as completing the challenge. The system, first of all, I'm a spendthrift system, so what kind of mission are you supposed to complete? I protested indignantly. You were the one who said spend money for a man, complete the mission, or die. After a long deliberation, the system replied leisurely, is there a possibility that my exact words were, congratulations on binding with a spendthrift system, please accept the novice mission, spend $5 million within 3 years. Mission execution principles: do not harass others, do not engage in investments, do not violate public order and morals, otherwise you will lose binding privileges. My face darkened. So I've been played for a fool these 3 years for nothing. The system retorted defiantly, so you accidentally stumbled into completing the challenge. Both the system and I fell into silence simultaneously. Fine, at least I've kept my life. I won't argue with the system anymore. Besides, this is still a money-giving system. After half a minute of stalemate, I broke the silence. First, what's the advanced challenge? Spend $50 million within a year. Can I buy a house? Real estate, cars, and other fixed assets are considered investment-type expenditures and do not count toward the task. Can I buy designer bags? Luxury goods have value retention. They'll be depreciated when the task ends, so completion isn't guaranteed. Can I hire a male escort? Task execution principle: no violation of public order or morals. Then I might as well just donate the money. I'm a spendthrift system, not a charity system. I fell into deep thought. This isn't allowed that $1 work? Am I really left with no choice but to go back to chasing after men? The system scoffed, your vision is too narrow. I wasn't pleased. Doing tasks is one thing, but personal attacks, that's crossing the line. 3. In short, the 3-year nightmare that kept me on edge has finally come to an end. My freshly emptied account now had a new balance of $50 million. And so, I slept soundly for once, resting my head on my bank card. At dawn, still dreaming, Ethan called Jenna by Lauren. An engagement ring, make it a big one. He still has that superior look on his face, but I'm no longer his personal ATM. I yawned, is your face big enough for that? Ethan paused, that could work too. I chuckled, get lost you. Let me tell you, the feeling of not having to cater to someone's whims is just great. After hanging up the phone, I blocked all of Ethan's contact information. I flew to Miami, booked a luxurious presidential suite with top-tier VIP service, and gave myself a proper vacation. Ignoring worldly affairs, I lived like a wealthy hedonist. After a month of slacking off, I wanted to check my spending, so I turned on my long silence phone. Countless bank notifications flooded in. When I looked closely, despite such extravagance, I'd only spent $500,000 in a month. It's impossible to spend 50 million in just 1 year when you can't even buy appreciating assets and have to rely solely on personal consumption. System, what happens if I can't spend all this money? All your previous expenditures will become bank debts that you'll have to repay personally. I protested, why is there no reward for completing the task, but such a severe punishment for failure? System, host, to be fair, ISN, this presidential suite you're lying in right now considered a reward. Fine, you're right, but facing this enormous fortune, I'm truly at my wit's end. Just as I was at my wit's end, I received an unfamiliar phone call. Jenna, finally got through to you. Ethan is about to jump off a building, come quick. I frowned. If he is going to jump, you should call 911. I can't fly to catch him. Why are you calling me? On the other end of the line, Ethan's friend grew frantic. Don't say that, Jenna. For the whole month you were gone, Ethan went crazy searching for you. He broke up with his girlfriend, quit his job first, he overdosed on sleeping pills, then slit his wrists, and now he is trying to jump off a building. Jenna, after 3 years together, you can't just let him die like this. He rattled on and on, but I couldn't understand a word. When I used to chase after Ethan, he'd always tell me to get lost. Now that I've really gone away, why is he looking for me again? System, tell me, are men's minds just impossible to figure out? The system remained silent, but I could almost hear it rolling its eyes. After hanging up the phone, I still decided to go back and check. Whether Ethan jumped off the building or not wasn't really my concern, mainly with lives at stake, I had legitimate grounds for a major expenditure. The moment this thought crossed my mind, the system issued a warning detecting potential violation and hostess spending intentions. Please provide explanation. I flashed a sly smile. How is this a violation after all? He asked, my old flame. I can't just stand by and watch him die, can I? Think about it. To stop Ethan from jumping, I had to charter a plane home immediately. For the rooftop rescue, we needed to rent a helicopter, didn't we, and order multiple airbags, right? And to prevent bystanders from getting hurt, I had to hire a security company to maintain order at the scene, didn't I? Tell me which expenditure of mine violated the rules. The system fell silent. Little one, do you really think I'm stupid? So I methodically arranged all these matters, then leisurely boarded a chartered flight to the location where Ethan was jumping. Thanks to my arrangements, the suicide scene was perfectly orderly. The onlookers even thought it was a movie shoot and took out their phones to snap photos. Holding a megaphone, I stood downstairs and shouted to Ethan, Ethan, it's Jenna, whatever it is, let us talk it out, don't do anything rash. After shouting, I raised my binoculars and looked up. Spotting me from the rooftop, Ethan became visibly agitated. His mouth opened and closed, tears and snot streaming down together, as if he were saying something very important. I shook my head, helplessly picked up the megaphone and shouted, what are you saying? You're so far away, I can't hear you. Through the telescope, Ethan froze for a moment. Judging by his lip movements, it looked like he cursed. I grabbed the megaphone again and yelled, watch your language, we're all decent people here. Ethan's face darkened, perhaps succumbing to my charismatic personality. He ultimately abandoned his plan to jump. In the helicopter's live broadcast footage, he stepped off the rooftop with a bored expression. His legs trembled unsteadily from crouching too long while clinging to the railing. I clicked my tongue, feeling somewhat disappointed. The rescue air cushion I'd prepared hadn't even been used. Why had he come down so soon? This makes me look so extravagant. What if the system finds fault with me? I was just figuring out how to explain to the system when a figure leaped down from above and landed squarely on the inflatable mat I'd arranged. Well, what a coincidence. Turns out Ethan's suicide threat was fake. After I blocked him, he suddenly realized he couldn't live without me and started desperately searching for me everywhere, even resorting to faking a suicide attempt to force me to appear. This might be what they call a playboy's repentance leads to the crematorium. But Samuel Reed really was about to jump off a building and I accidentally ended up saving him. For this I received a good citizen commendation banner. The system was originally very dissatisfied with this expense of mine, but the way things unfolded left it speechless. Just for that reason, I brought a truckload of carnations to visit Samuel Reed in the hospital. After being rescued, he lay in the hospital bed still, wearing an expression of utter despair. I asked, young man, why would someone so young want to end their life? Tears welled up in Reed's eyes as he said, you don't understand, my life's work is over, there's no meaning left in this existence. Well, listening to your words is like listening to words indeed. I truly don't get it. Then tell me, how was the work of your life brought to an end? Reed was a straightforward man. As soon as I asked, he answered. I was in aerospace research. After 10 years of working on my project, I finally proved its technical feasibility, but then the investors pulled out. He spoke while crying. Seeing a grown man reduced to such a state, even I couldn't bear it. So I tentatively asked, why did they withdraw their funding? My research project requires huge investment costs. With a long return cycle, they weren't willing to invest. How big are the costs? How long is the cycle? The first phase of experiments alone requires 10 million, with even more needed later. By the time the project becomes profitable, our generation probably won't be around anymore. No wonder investors pulled out. Who do you want to sink money into this losing venture? So you see, my life has lost all meaning. As he spoke, Reed suddenly sprang up from his hospital bed and dashed to the window. My beloved scientific truth, I'm coming for you. No, I came to visit a patient. How did I end up making them feel even more hopeless? I quickly grabbed him. Don't worry, I'll give you the money. Reed wouldn't listen and kept struggling toward the window. Stop lying to me, just let me go. I was speechless. I really can give you the money. Look, let us go to the bank right now. I'll transfer the money to you, okay? Reed finally turned to look at me. Really? I nodded, but you'll need to pay a small price. Reed wiped his tears with his sleeve. What price? You have to let me pursue you only, then can I transfer the money. It's fine, tell me how to cooperate for the sake of research. I can make this sacrifice. I looked at him with an expression reserved for idiots. No, 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 I'm the one pursuing you. He frowned and swung one leg back out the window. I knew you were lying. 6. Everyone says making money is hard, but who would have thought squandering wealth isn't easy either. At the hospital, I spent 3 hours patiently reasoning with Reed. Until I had him check my bank account balance on his phone to verify my financial status, he finally believed I wasn't a scammer. But he kept one foot dangling outside the window the whole time. My mouth went dry. Hospital windows are so small you couldn't even jump out if you tried. Just come down already. The tear tracks on his face hadn't even dried, yet I've been wanting to come down. My foot stuck. But this was only the beginning. The aerospace project's approval process. Now that was complicated. I not only had to sign a pile of confidentiality agreements stacked taller than myself. I was also summoned for a T-session interrogation. One afternoon they dug up every detail about my ancestors for 18 generations, enough material to write a complete family biography. When officials from the National Aeronautics and Space Research Institute asked me, why are you funding Dr. Reed's project? I immediately straightened my posture and answered with utmost sincerity, it was love at first sight. I want to unconditionally support his scientific endeavors without expecting anything in return. The Research Institute officials looked at each other, their faces etched with visible exasperation. But these words weren't meant for them. Funding scientific research projects while not violating the system's principles carried the suspicion of charity. Fearing the system might penalize me for violations, I continued checking on Reed frequently after sending the 10 million, putting on a show of deep involvement. Throughout this period, the system never issued any warnings. Hey, I think I've discovered a system bug 7. Reed is much easier to chase than Ethan as long as it's after work hours. He replies instantly to my messages. When I respectfully address him as Dr. Reed, he responds with Ms. Miller. I gave him a tie, and he was so flustered that he stayed up all night making a spacecraft model to return the favor. For the first time in 3 years, I've pursued someone with such dignity. Yet my experience in pursuing others is too extensive, my acting too convincing. I knew it was all technique devoid of genuine feeling, but Reed seemed to take it seriously. Gradually, he began gazing at me with ambiguous eyes, seeking me out whenever free to discuss space exploration, quantum mechanics. Back and forth, even the seasoned playboy Ethan became convinced I had shifted my affections elsewhere. While accompanying Reed to an academic banquet, Ethan actually followed me there. In front of a room full of straight-faced scientists, he clung to my leg wailing like a banshee. Jenna, how could you bear to abandon me? I swallowed pills for you, he cried. I sighed in exasperation. Give me a break. Those sleeping pills of yours were just vitamins. You ended up in the hospital from stomach cramps. And I slit my wrist for you, he said. I face-bombed you, barely scratched the skin on your pinky finger. By the time we got to the hospital, the cut had already healed. Then there was the time I went up to the rooftop for you. He continued. I rolled my eyes. Do you even remember how many safety harnesses you were wearing? You had more straps on than a bungee jumper. Ethan had no comeback left, so he just pointed at Reed and said, so what is so great about this four-eyed nerd anyway? Is he better looking than me? Does he have more abs than I do? No, how did the conversation suddenly turn into some masculine competition where he asked putting others down? Hearing this, Reed instinctively adjusted his glasses, sucked in his stomach, and waited eagerly for my response. This inexplicable competitive streak, I answered diplomatically. He has a PhD. Ethan froze, stammering I for ages without managing to say another word. I cut him off. Stop with the me. You don't even have any degrees. He finally quieted down. As I interacted more with Reed, I came to know more and more researchers. With keen observation, I noticed their common traits: intelligence, diligence, and lack of money. At their dinner gatherings, whenever the topic turned to applying for project funding, the group would start lamenting to each other, each story more pitiful than the last. Their projects often cost millions at a time. I thought of Ethan, that playboy, who made such a fuss it took him 3 years to spend just 5 million. When it comes to squandering money, pursuing scientific truth is far more efficient than chasing handsome men. In an instant, inspiration struck me like divine revelation. They lacked funding, and I had nowhere to spend. Wasn't this a perfect match? So, I promptly set about establishing a foundation specifically dedicated to funding scientific research projects. My foundation had just been established when the system issued a warning: host, if you fund scientific research projects as an investor and receive returns within the task period, it will be judged as a mission failure. After much deliberation, I established a principle for the foundation: invest heavily in projects with long cycles. The harder they are to achieve results, the more funding they deserve. To uphold this principle, I hired a group of young scholars specifically for project evaluation, and peer review became indispensable. Among my investment projects, lithography machines were considered short cycle and nanotechnology was deemed low cost. Exploring the universe, space migration, genetic engineering, energy crises. All those cutting-edge projects struggling without funding and stuck at the theoretical stage, I approved funding for every single one. The company's auditors expressed concerns about the future. President Miller, if we keep investing like this, the company will go bankrupt. I gently wagged my finger. Is this about money? Our projects concern the frontiers of science and the future of humanity. Today, a small step we take may be a giant leap for human civilization. The company may go bankrupt, but truth endures forever. I spoke passionately, filled with righteous indignation. My colleagues all stood up, looking at me with deep respect as waves of enthusiastic applause broke out. I nodded and raised my hand, signaling for everyone to keep it down. Amid the boiling applause, the system muttered, what a waste of talent binding you to this spendthrift system. What do you mean you should go bind yourself to a pie-in-the-sky system? 9. Although the system couldn't stand my pretentiousness, after my foundation got running, I easily spent 50 million and smoothly completed the mission. During this period, I continued exploiting system bugs for every project that received funding. I ceremoniously pursue the person in charge. But as the spending challenge escalated, the amounts I needed to squander grew larger, and the time frames became shorter. From spending $5 million in 3 years initially to $50 million in 1 year, and later reaching $100 million per month. The more funds the foundation had, the more projects it sponsored. How could I possibly keep up with all of them? Even a dog would shake its head at this, so I industrialized and scaled up the pursuit process. I set up a dedicated team in the company. Whenever a project was approved, they would send a bouquet of roses to the project leader in my name, and during holidays, gifts would be delivered to each research team. For any research or life difficulties, project leaders can call our company. We never hesitate when money can solve the problem. Our contract terms must also include a gratitude agreement stating, I, Jenna Miller, voluntarily pledge full support for your research project as a sponsor. This process applies regardless of gender quantity or marital status. With broad vision, support spans the globe. Moreover, despite executing bold maneuvers, the system surprisingly didn't rule them as violations. My system may be sarcastic, but its advantages are obvious: plenty of money, and it doesn't seem particularly smart. 10 with company procedures finalized, staff expanded, and approvals accelerated. My mission to squander money progressed smoothly. Meanwhile, in my office, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, watermelon, I lounged comfortably on the sofa, spending each workday reclined in bliss. But I wasn't slacking off the entire time. Occasionally, my plan for scientific extravagance ran into unexpected hiccups. Take Reed, for example. One of his rocket launches failed, with the prototype exploding right there in the desert. He fell into deep despair, drowning his sorrows in alcohol at the camp. He even talked about disbanding the project team, quitting academia, and returning the unspent funds to me. The moment I heard this, I couldn't just sit still. The deadline for the squander mission was approaching. This was practically sabotaging me. So I rushed to the launch site, at once appealing to his reason and stirring his emotions. Edison failed thousands of times while experimenting with a light bulb. Madame Curie had to process tons of, or just to extract a few grams of radium. Precisely because the path of science is arduous, the truth becomes all the more captivating. Isn't that so? I spoke with genuine emotion, but Reed wouldn't listen, clutching the liquor bottle tightly. I'm a failure. I'm a joke. I only know how to waste your money. I quit. You're truly exasperated by his incompetence. He can easily walk away, but if the mission fails, how much would I have to compensate the system? In a fit of anger, I snatched the liquor bottle from his hand and smashed it on the ground. Samuel Reed, let me make this clear. This project will work whether it can or not. If it can't, you'll find a way to make it work. Money I've given out never comes back. That's my principle. Consider this exploding rocket as a tip from your #1 sponsor. I'll allow you to mope around for a few days, but before the end of this month, you better pull yourself together and get back to work, damn it. Having played the pursuer role too often, I'm usually polite to everyone. My rare outburst thoroughly frightened the boys at the base. They didn't even dare breathe loudly. But these harsh words worked. The day after I left the launch site, Reed shamefacedly organized the team's return to the Research Institute to begin their post-mortem analysis. Starting over, one remains a true hero, of course, on the path of scientific research. While there are unlucky souls like Reed, there are also the chosen ones favored by fate. A scientist named Elko, shortly after receiving my funding, successfully developed graphene batteries. Major new energy vehicle manufacturers scrambled to purchase patent licenses. I gave him $100 million, and in the blink of an eye, he made $500 million. After the project became profitable, he came to the company carrying bags of gifts to thank me. He held my hand, grinning from ear to ear. President Miller, without you this project wouldn't exist. You'll get 50 of the patent licensing fees. Hearing this, my face immediately darkened. Professor Elko, now that you've made money, all you can think about is profit sharing. Don't you want to do something else? Something else, I said with a stern expression. The path to truth has no end now that you're financially free. Isn't this the perfect time to consider more challenging, but meaningful projects? From the first moment I saw you, I sensed a unique aura about you comparable to Einstein and Newton. Believe me, you are destined to make tremendous contributions to human civilization, leaving an indelible mark in the annals of history. I rattled off these words so convincingly that I nearly believed them myself. Looking up, I saw Professor Elko, already moved to tears, his eyes sparkling with irrepressible brilliance. President Miller, to be perfectly honest, you've articulated the deepest thoughts in my heart. I always thought my talents went unrecognized, never expecting to find someone who truly understands me, my benefactor. For your sake, I don't even want to take vacations anymore. I'll start the second project as soon as I return. Thanks to my skill of speaking utter nonsense with a straight face, I survived that crisis with Professor Elko. But the chosen one is always the chosen one. When Professor Elko transitions to other new energy projects, as long as he wants to do it, there's nothing he can't accomplish. The key is he's especially loyal to me. Whenever there's profit, he immediately thinks of giving me dividends. I'm so grateful, so I had no choice but to keep steering conversations from human civilization to the vast cosmos, just to convince him to take my money and keep working on projects instead of obsessing over splitting profits. 11 For the sake of my spendthrift mission, I scattered money and motivational speeches everywhere, even causing a sensation in academia. I've been jokingly called the spiritual guide of the new era, writing a contemporary version of the gospel of science. Even more exaggerated is how countless laboratories hang my photo alongside the founders of their disciplines, casually paying homage to me. Every time I see this scene, I get chills down my spine. I mean, who would be thought that despite my peaceful nature and single-minded pursuit of squandering wealth I'd accidentally become famous. As the saying goes, fame is dangerous for men, as fattening is for pigs. I've always kept a low profile and never flaunted my wealth, yet I still ended up being robbed in my own home. When a tall figure burst into my house, I thought it was the male model I'd been fantasizing about in my dreams. But the next second that person tied me up tightly and bound me to a chair. I'd never seen such a scene before. My heart was pounding, my teeth chattering. I have money, please don't hurt me. The robber looked at me momentarily confused. Then clearing his throat, he spoke fiercely. Speak, what is the TG confidentiality agreement? Huh, TG? What agreement? I've never heard of it. I genuinely didn't know, but the kidnapper thought I was pretending. He picked up a document and threw it in front of me. I've studied the projects you funded, all cutting-edge technology, every one tagged with TG protocols. This agreement is encrypted in the most complex way and remains unbreakable. Then it dawned on me, big bro, you're not a spy, are you? Big bro was truly straightforward. Once his cover was blown, he immediately removed his mask. If you figured it out, stop wasting time and talk. Seeing him unmasked, I quickly shut my eyes. Big bro, I didn't see your face. Please put the mask back on. I'm timid and afraid he might kill me. To silence me, trembling all over. Then came the sound of a shattered liquor bottle. Is the boss really going to get serious? Tears welled up in my eyes as I cried out, boss, spare my life. But the boss fell silent. Then Ethan's voice came through. Stop wailing, the boss has already collapsed. I opened my eyes to see Reed untying me, Ethan holding a liquor bottle, and the big brother lying on the ground with a huge bump on his head. 12. The police arrived, and so did the national security agents. They took away the masked big brother. Reed told me the spy you encountered today had been lurking in our country for many years, usually only handling very high-level missions. I'm a high-level mission. I fell into thought. Reed, do you know what that TG confidentiality agreement is? Reed looked at me in surprise. You didn't know? I shook my head. Should I have known? Reed's eyes held an inscrutable expression. It's what you invented, the total gratitude protocol. So it turns out our company employees and researchers had some objections to my gratitude agreement all along. But when the funder made them sign it, they had no choice, so they highly encrypted the total gratitude agreement and incorporated it into the project as highest confidentiality section, abbreviating it as TG. No particular reason, just feeling a bit ashamed. Why couldn't the spy decrypt it? Because the encoder used random coding and never intended for it to be decrypted in the first place. And this veteran spy who had been undercover for years actually ended up in prison because of this. One can only say that karma is a bitch, and I'm probably this guy as retribution. Snapping back to reality, I asked, if the spy came to me for intel, then why are you here? Reed's face turned slightly red. I haven't seen you in so long. I just wanted to check on you. My heart tightened. Don't tell me your rocket exploded again, and you're giving up. Reed shook his head. Don't talk nonsense. My rocket hasn't even launched yet. I sighed in relief. Then, are you short on funds? I'll approve the budget for you. Reed's face turned even redder. Jenna, what else is in your heart besides money? Having said that, he stomped off angrily to the side. I was dumbfounded and could only complain to the system. What did I tell you, R&T men? As thoughts hard to guess. The system sighed helplessly. No wonder you've never been in a relationship, still single despite being worth hundreds of millions. What the since when did the system start making personal attacks? Fine, then I turned back to Ethan. What about you? Why are you here again today? Ethan shoved his hands in his pockets and tossed his head. I came to tell you I've decided to pursue a PhD. Once I get my doctorate, I'll compete with Reed on equal footing. I frowned. Well, I don't mean to discourage you, but is there any chance you might need to get a master's degree before pursuing a PhD? Ethan said confidently, I know, I'm currently preparing to apply to graduate school. I've even started reviewing calculus. Calculus, you wouldn't understand. Applying to STEM graduate programs requires taking the GRE math test. I could only nod. Good luck. 13. The spy incident left me shaken. Reed comforted me. When you become a target for spies, it means you've achieved significant standing in the scientific community. Many researchers toil in obscurity. Their whole lives. Look at it this way, it's a kind of honor. I asked, so, does that mean I'll be encountering spies frequently from now on? Reed pondered for a moment before sighing. Such is the loneliness at the top. I rolled my eyes. Thanks, that's very comforting. After this incident, I spent a fortune upgrading my home security system. Carry pepper spray at all times with door window alarms and surveillance cameras fully equipped. Yet despite all this, I encountered another break-in incident just 1 month later. This time it happened in the dead of night. I was sound asleep when a man wearing sunglasses shook me awake. Before I could react, I thought I was slacking off at the office again. I wiped the drool from the corner of my mouth and rolled over. Projects go to the review, department money requests go to finance, close the door on your way out. But the sunglasses-wearing man persisted, continuing to shake me. What the I already said. My morning temper flared as I abruptly sat up and finally got a clear look at the visitor. Who are you? Before me stood 3 men in sunglasses staring at me in unison. I want to cry. Are spies really that bored? Why must they all fixate on harassing just me? Also, why didn't any of my alarms or cameras go off? Right, pepper spray. I immediately fumbled around by my pillow. Seeing me searching around, the man in sunglasses at the front handed me a small bottle. Are you looking for this? I lower my head to accept it. Thank you, 14. God bless. This time the people who barged into my home were agents from the National Security Agency. They sat stiffly in front of me and spoke leisurely. Ms. Miller, we have some matters we'd like to consult with you about. I nodded obediently. Actually, you could have come to my company during the day. No need to scare people in the middle of the night. We took the liberty of coming at night to also test the security of your residence. Based on our assessment, your home security rating is extremely low. It's mainly because you came too suddenly. I wasn't prepared tomorrow. I'll go weld the windows and door shut. The sunglasses-wearing man ignored me and continued. According to our investigation, you currently hold a pivotal position in our nation's scientific research community with access to highly classified information concerning numerous critical R&D projects. Highly classified information. I have a feeling they're talking about the gratitude agreement. I said earnestly, you might have misunderstood. I just have a bit of money. Hardly pivotal. The man in sunglasses interrupted me. Scientists who worked with you speak very highly of you. This piqued my interest. Oh, do elaborate. They noted your exceptionally discerning eye for selecting projects, all of which carry significant importance. Because the projects I funded were deliberately chosen to be exorbitantly expensive and notoriously difficult, all to fulfill my mission of squandering wealth. Additionally, you have a very open attitude towards research projects, granting considerable freedom. Probably means I just provide funding and never interfere, since I don't understand it anyway. What's rare is how much you cherish talent, having discovered countless outstanding young scientists. Well, I've given money as a supporter. Couldn't he love them more? As for discovering them, when you fund enough people, there are bound to be a few chosen ones. Therefore, based on our comprehensive evaluation, you are one of the key figures in the future technology powerhouse strategy. Ahem, this flattery is a bit overwhelming. I'm feeling slightly lightheaded. But to be fair, looking across the global research community, sponsors as generous and open-minded as me are indeed few and far between. I straighten my posture. They're giving me too much credit, but I genuinely don't know any confidential information. I never inquire about project details. Ms. Miller, I appreciate your response, which demonstrates your cautious attitude towards confidentiality. However, you are indeed involved in multiple classified R&D projects that cannot afford any mishaps. Therefore, we must insist that you comply with our arrangements. What arrangements? We have prepared the safest standalone villa for you with 24-hour security and dedicated escorts for all your travels. No, I really don't need this. What TG meant was, just as I was about to refuse, 4 strikingly handsome men with broad shoulders and long legs entered my field of vision. The man in sunglasses introduced. These are the security personnel arranged for you. If you have any dissatisfaction, we can replace them for you at any time. I looked up and saw the first hunk resembled Chris Evans, the second looked like Ryan Gosling, the third resembled Timothée Chalamet, and the fourth looked like a young George Clooney. I was utterly dumbstruck, shaking my head like a rattle drum. No problem, absolutely no problem. If possible, I could move in right now. The sunglasses man nodded approvingly. What were you trying to say earlier? Just now. Oh right, I've been meaning to ask, can you guys actually see clearly wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night? 15. As Forrest Gump said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. To complete my squander mission, I established a scientific research foundation. Although many projects had long cycles and slow progress, the completed ones achieved remarkably fruitful results. As the foundation grew in scale, its status in the scientific community also rose higher. Later, I handed over the operational rights of the foundation to a more professional scientific committee and officially renamed it the TG Foundation. Just to clarify, that stands for technology. With the system as support and the early investment projects gradually turning profitable, the TG Foundation's motto became money is no object. Therefore, the foundation as principle remains unchanged, supporting research projects that are highly challenging, costly, and time-consuming, yet of significant importance. Our mission is to ensure that no scientific research is too difficult to pursue. Moreover, due to the existence of the gratitude agreement, I continuously enhanced various benefits for researchers. In the end, through my own efforts, I single-handedly raised the average salary in the research field several-fold, bringing it on par with that of financial industry professionals. From then on, scientists not only enjoyed social status, but also saw significant improvements in their living conditions. Thanks to the Matthew effect, the scientific community attracted more outstanding talents, leading to a flourishing industry and rapid advancements in technological exploration. Many years later, a journalist came to interview me. May I ask what your original intention was when you first established the TG Foundation? I smiled sincerely and replied, you might not believe it, but I simply had too much money to spend. They truly didn't believe it. The final report stated the founder of TG Foundation has always maintained a sincere passion for academia. Find that us not entirely wrong either. Science is the ladder of human progress. And with sufficient patience and support for scientific research, we cultivated a new era of civilization. In the year 3000, when I turned 100 years old, human technology had already taken a great leap forward. The genetics research team I funded has decoded the genetic secrets of human aging and discovered preliminary methods to mitigate it. The average human lifespan is now 200 years. Professor Elko, the chosen one, continuously developed new projects under my supervision and discovered an environmentally friendly fuel solution to Earth's energy crisis. For this achievement, he was immortalized in human civilization's history with a monumental legacy. What I once said in jest became reality. Then there's Reed. Through my relentless pushing, his project finally made breakthroughs. His contributions to humanity's Mars migration program earned him recognition as an academician of the sciences. Yes, the new generation of humans has achieved habitation and life on Mars. More planets in the solar system are being gradually developed and constructed, and soon the vitality of life will spread throughout the solar system. Current space exploration projects are also slowly expanding beyond the solar system to explore new extraterrestrial civilizations. As for Ethan, yes, quite surprising, who would have thought that someone who couldn't even tell calculus and advanced math apart would turn out to be a hormonal delayed genius. He actually earned his PhD, and in mathematics. No less, we can only say that some people just have their epiphanies later in life. But it was slightly regrettable that while he had always wanted to obtain his doctorate to compete with Reed on equal footing, it was academician Reed who presided over his graduation ceremony and moved his tassel. That day he cried uncontrollably, according to him. He wept for the science he so passionately loved. Yet the very next day, he posted on Instagram, "I'm going to become an academician." This inexplicable competitive spirit, yet Ethan achieved numerous significant scientific breakthroughs while striving for academician status. This put tremendous pressure on Reed, who then buried himself in the laboratory every day, dedicating himself to research. Fine, let them keep one-upping each other, it's contributing to science anyway. As for the spendthrift system, my last mission was over a decade ago. The challenge for level 100 was to spend 10 billion in 1 month. At that time, it was the most financially draining phase of the Mars colonization project, making this task effortless for me. After completing it, I asked the system, "So are you leaving now?" "Yes, my mission is complete. You have one final task remaining before the system can be unbound." "What mission?" "You need to tell humanity about my existence and our experiences, passing it down through generations. Many years later, human technology will advance enough to invent me and send me back through time to return to your side." I nodded okay, then the system vanished. But I know that one day in the future, he will reappear. And at some moment in the past, we will meet again. The end.